Thank you very much. We are Red Alert on the cajon, Chris Morris. On the bass, Tom Mason. We've got one more from us. I am Jeanette Mason. We are Red Alert. This is IC7. Thank you very much. That's it from us. We are Red Alert. Enjoy the rest of the rally and the music and everything that's going on. Thank you. Okay, we're going to do one more. much. That's it from us.
Screwed over. They're just grateful to have a job. From care workers who don't get paid for all the hours they're in their car, to retail workers who get abuse from customers and no support from management. We all deserve better. Rushing into a shift you only got told about on the day, but never getting flexibility back when your childcare falls through. Not getting decent training or seeing a way to move on to a better job can make you lose hope. But it doesn't have to be like that. It can feel like you're struggling alone, when really hundreds of thousands of people like you all across the UK feel just the same way. And we know that when workers come together, they can change their workplace for the better. Higher pay, real training and more certainty. And that's exactly what unions are. Groups of workers coming together to win real change. But right now, less than 1 in 10 young workers in the private sector have the support of a union for all the problems they face. We're stronger together, and unions are your best way to get ahead at work. So please think about getting some friends together and joining a union. And you can find the right union for you by Googling Join a Union.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to Hyde Park. My name's Paul Novak. I'm the Deputy General Secretary of the TUC, and I'm going to be one of your hosts for this afternoon. Now, the first thing to say is thanks for bearing with us. Thanks for marching in your tens of thousands despite the beautiful British summer. But we've got some speakers I hope will warm you up. And at 3 o'clock, we're going to be joined by Jeremy Corbyn, leader of the Labour Party as well. So without further ado, our first speaker, and following on from Jeanette Mason and Red Alert, and can we have a big round of applause for them? Our first speaker is the Public Sector President of Prospector Union, Jeff Fletcher. Let's hear it for Jeff.
Comrades, I think it's going to be a big job trying to warm you lot up. How was your march? Okay, thanks to TUC for inviting me to speak in my trade union capacity. I'm a civil servant by profession and I work as a health and safety inspector for HSE, so I've experienced firsthand the impacts of pay constraints that public servants like myself experienced and seen the imposed austerity cuts on services and wider society. Opinion at large says time is up for austerity and let's hope that change is coming. I have been asked to keep it short and sweet, by the way. So, but also society is concerned about the impact of whatever Brexit this government delivers. For the majority across the public and private sector, wages have fallen in real terms and are still below their 2008 levels. Employment feels increasingly precarious for many, especially with the prevalence of zero-hours contracts and the emergence of the widespread gig economy. Austerity has had a massive impact on the civil service where I work and its capacity to deliver, especially with the looming EU exit. Low pay, long hours and increasing job insecurity are becoming the standard for working people in the public sector. EU exit means that our employment, environment and social protections could be at risk, and we need to ensure that what we have now is just the foundation for a future New Deal for working people. So I'm proud to work for the HSE, promoting health and safety across the economy and protecting workers and citizens from unscrupulous employers. And we know that high-level labour standards and effective enforcement are good for workers and also good for business. But unfortunately, we know that the human and final cost of when it goes wrong could be high. But we also know that things can be different, and trade unions like Prospect can lead the way. We have been at the forefront for arguing for the need to invest in high-quality, secure jobs across the public and private sector. So, across these sectors, we need a new deal for all working people, and that deal should include paying decent wages, valuing employees, providing job security, support and reward training and development in investing skills to improve productivity, and ensure, above all, that the workers have a collective voice and a stake in the organisation that they work for. All these things shouldn't be impossible aspirations in our society. So let's press for them now through our common endeavour, and let's press for a new deal for working people. Thank you.
Thank you for that. My name's Liz Snape. I'm from Unison and I'm one of your co-compers today. mean, as trade unions, we can organise strikes, we can organise demos, but we've never yet mastered organising the weather. But stay with us. We've got a great line-up this afternoon. And no more than our friend Mary Boustard, Joint General Secretary of the National Education Union. The NEU has been fighting for fair pay and workloads for teachers against the fragmentation and marketisation of our schools. Mary has led the campaign with vigour and with passion, and it's a great honour to welcome today. A big TUC welcome for Mary.
Hi, hello everyone. Are we downhearted? Are we wet? Do we care? Fantastic. And why are we marching? We're marching for a new deal for working people. Do you know, under this rotten Tory government, for all Theresa May's talk of social mobility, do you know what happens? The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. How is it that in 2018, in one of the richest countries in the world, over 4 million children, that's 30% of the children in this country, live in poverty? And my members in the National Education Union see the effects of this poverty every day. Children coming to school hungry, children wearing dirty, unwashed clothes, children living in one room where there's not enough room to play, not enough room to sleep. And this Tory government says the answer to their poverty is to spend £50 million on grammar schools. Do you know, just what are they on? And whilst we're at it, can I have some? Surely this is a government whose time has gone. This is a government that has walked away from its responsibilities to the nation. It's a government fighting over Brexit, led by a Prime Minister with no authority. This is a government which has failed to provide housing for its people, enough schools for its children, roads to drive on, an infrastructure, a regional policy or an industrial policy. It has walked away from its responsibility. Do you know, and public servants suffer. Do you know, it's a shocking statistic, but over half the teachers in England leave before 10 years. They're driven away by overwork and poor pay. And do you know that children and young people are denied their future if they don't have qualified teachers? So what do we want? We want a government which does what it believes in. We want a government which will act to repair the social, economic and industrial chaos that these Tories have caused. And we want a government that understands that unions are forces for good in society and in the workforce. And that's why we're marching today, and that's why we'll keep working to get this rotten, ignorant, idle government out of office. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Mary. Hard to disagree. Thanks, Mary. Hard to disagree with any of that. The next speaker is the fantastic Gloria Mills, National Secretary of Unison, Chair of the TUC Black Workers Committee. Let's give Gloria a huge welcome. Thanks a lot. Gloria Mills.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much. Comrades and friends, I bring you greetings and solidarity from the TUC Race Relations Committee, from black workers, from women and from Unison members. We are delighted to be supporting this rally today, calling for a new deal for working people. But today I'm also calling for a better deal for black workers, for women workers, for LGBT workers and for disabled workers. Because we need to have a better deal for them. We want a better deal for women so that they are not actually facing the gender pay gap. We want an end to the gender pay gap of 18%. And we want an end to discrimination. We want an end to sexual harassment in the workplace. Friends, as a child of the windwash generation, I heard in disbelief the harrowing accounts of black workers working in the public sector, losing their jobs and losing access to public health care. We now live in a country that if you are black, if you don't have a British passport, you are treated with suspicion, living in fear of losing your job and losing your home. Moreover, we live in fear that the wrong information may be on the file and that we will be denied access to our personal data for immigration reasons and for immigration control. Friends, how could this be in a country with a proud record of transparency, a proud record of standing up for decency, a proud record of treating people fairly? And how could it be that we are now operating a secret, cruel and callous regime where people of the Windrush generation, British citizens like myself, are being deported without access to legal aid and legal scrutiny? You know, Britain could do better than this. This is not the British way. This is not the British values I was brought up with. We must attack this freedom and reject this attack on our freedom and our human rights. We are calling for an end to equal pay. We're calling for equal pay for work of equal value. We want an end to the gender pay gap, an end to the gender discrimination gap in terms of pension. We want an end to racism. We want an end to sexism and sexual harassment. And we want to get the message across that the time is up to end the indignities, the injustices, and the inequalities that women, black people, LGBT, and disabled people face. Comrades, I say, this is our time to resist. And this is our time to show our resilience. We will fight for a better deal for working people. And in the light of Brexit, we will make sure that we achieve it. Thank you all very much.
Yeah. Right, friends, our next speaker is a great friend to the trade union movement and a great honour to welcome Shakira Martin, recently elected president of the NUS. The NUS brings together over 600 different student unions, and Shakira is leading with passion and power. A big TUC welcome for Shakira. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm really proud to be here. My name's Shakira Martin, and I'm the president of the National Union of Students. And today, I'm even more prouder to be here, in particular with my two daughters, Kaisha and Kiara, future workers, leaders, activists, and unions. But we're here to say that work is simply not working for too many people in this country. Too many people are working even more and harder, struggling to pay the rent, struggling to pay their bills, struggling to pay their travel, struggling to keep their weekly costs to cover food, and struggling to even think where they're going to spend their money next. We're here to say that work is not working for far too many people in this country who are stuck in you know that word, employment, can't be good at everything, you lot, with no idea whether they will have a job the following week, the following month, and the following day. Laid off on the whim, struggling with... Forget that, I ain't even going to read this speech. You lot, yeah, at the end of the day, we need to stand together and unite together to have better working conditions for all workers in all industries, because we can no longer go on suffering with the poverty in work, poverty that people are choosing between heating and eating when they are working. I'm standing here in proper, full solidarity to make sure that our generation and the next generation will not have to go through the struggles that we had to go through. The gender pay gap, the BME attainment gap. These are the things that I am committed to as NUS president and beyond to ensure that we abolish this. We know that this can be better. We know that we can get a better deal. So, in that said, I've got 3 minutes, but thank you for coming, and we want to send proper solidarity!
Well, if that didn't warm you up, I don't know what will. As well as hearing from trade union leaders, we wanted to use today to hear the story of frontline workers, the campaigns that unions are taking forward in workplaces up and down the country to win for workers. And so I want to introduce 3 of those frontline workers. First up, Lauren Townsend, a Unite member in TGI Fridays. Secondly, Paul Slogic, a CWU member working for Manpower for BT. Let's hear from Paul. And then finally, Gail Partridge, a Unite member from Bombardier in Northern Ireland, a fantastic campaign to secure jobs and win for the community. So our first speaker is Lauren. Over to you.
Hello! I'm away Waitress at TGI Fridays, well, we are currently in a dispute with the company after a change to the tips and gratuity policy. At the beginning of January, we were informed that a decision had been made to reallocate 40% of our tips to the kitchen teams, a move that we strongly believe was made instead of giving them an actual pay rise. We were given just 2 days' notice of this change before it started, 2 days with which to prepare for huge financial losses, in an industry where most of us are young parents or students trying to fit shifts around studies and young families. Anyone who's ever worked as a server will know how much tips contribute to your earnings and how hard you work on your feet for sometimes 10, 12 hours a day, always with a smile. On average, people are losing £60 a week because of this change. That's almost £250 a month, or £3,000 a year. Many of my colleagues in stores around the country resigned in the weeks and months after the announcement. Those of us that stayed tried to talk to the company. We called, nobody answered. We sent emails, and 4 months later, many of us are still waiting for a reply. So we unionised, and joining Unite the Union is the best thing we've ever done. Finally, we have a voice. 4 stores have already been balloted for strike action, and our first strike will be next Friday, the 18th of May, and every Friday thereafter, until the company agree to meet with us and work on a resolution. I strongly encourage every waiter, bartender and chef to join a union and make a stand. Together we're stronger, together we will be heard. Thank you for being here today in the rain, and remember to tip cash.
Absolutely brilliant, Lauren. Paul Slogic.
How are we all doing? As you've heard, my name is Paul. For the last 2 years, I've been working for a company called Manpower as an agency worker at BT in Lincoln. Essentially, I am on £7.50 an hour, but I sit there day in, day out, as do my fellow colleagues, taking the same calls, working the same hours for around about £7,000 less a year. That's because we're on what are called pay between assignment contracts. That means that companies like BT can get through loopholes in the law, so we can earn less and not get paid the going rate. My union, the CWU, are currently campaigning to abolish PBA contracts, so we are earning a fair wage as well as my fellow colleagues. I stand here today, as do my union, in solidarity, so we can work and we can get a change in the workers' rights, so we can no longer be exploited. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Paul. And our next speaker is Gay Partridge from Unite Bombardier.
Sisters and brothers, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to address you today. My name, as you've heard, is Gay Partridge, and I'm the chair of the Shop Stewards Committee in Bombardier Belfast. I'm here to tell you how, working together with Unite and the workforce in Bombardier, we pulled off an amazing win against the largest aircraft manufacturer in the world, Boeing. It is my belief that Boeing saw our new aircraft as a threat to their market share, and Donald Trump's protectionism programme of America First. They saw the opportunity to raise a complaint with the ITC, which resulted in a tariff of nearly 300% being added to any Bombardier C-Series aircraft in America, one of our largest markets. With the threat to the largest manufacturing company in Northern Ireland, with 4,000 plus direct jobs and approximately 20,000 in the supply chain, plus the local stewards in the local shops in the towns and villages where Bombardier have sites, we launched a massive campaign. To quote Steve Turner, Unite AGS, we will leave no stone unturned, and we didn't. Unite were not found wanting. We lobbied Westminster, Europe, Montreal, Washington, and also launched a massive local campaign lobbying every single local councillor in Northern Ireland. Myself and another steward addressed Belfast City Council to stress the impact of the loss of manufacturing jobs. Apparently this was the only time that Belfast City Council had a unanimous decision. Sisters and brothers, this dispute really united the Bombardier workforce when thousands attended mass rallies at our 5 sites. I firmly believe this showed the company, the UK government and the Northern Ireland government the support and fight we were leading. All along we were told we would never win. It was like David fighting Goliath. Even on the Friday the decision was declared, we didn't feel we would win, but we didn't give up. We fought the fight and we did win. My message to you all is there is strength in union membership. Always keep up the fight, and I call on Theresa May's government to stand up for manufacturing jobs and we have shown that you can take on Donald Trump and America and win, and we have shown our strength, and when held together our job, we will save our jobs and skills. Thank you.
Thank you, the voice of real workers. And our next speaker is Manuel Cortes, General Secretary of the TSSA, and a huge campaigner, not just for migrant workers, but for every railway worker across our land. A big welcome for Manuel.
Sisters, brothers, can I start off by thanking each and every one of you for coming here today to this very important rally and demonstration to tell the Tories that enough is enough, that we've had more than enough of their rotten austerity, and that we are taking it no more. The Tories used the Great Recession that was created by bankers' greed. They used that as cover, as a convenient excuse to do what they've always wanted to do, to try and smash our NHS, to try and attack your hard-won terms and conditions. They have now presided over the biggest squeeze in wages since that man, Napoleon, over 200 years ago, was gallivanting in Europe. And to try and demolish our welfare state. And I have a message for them, and I'm sure you will agree with me. I have a message for the Tories from Hyde Park, from you today, that they can run, and they will run, but they can't hide, because we are coming for them. We have drawn a line in the sand, and we ain't giving an inch. And I tell you, I was absolutely disgusted yesterday when the Royal Bank of Scotland, our bank, paid 3.5 billion, I repeat that, 3.5 billion to cover the errant ways of their former executives. And this happened the same week where our NHS had to cancel the biggest number of operations in their history. I tell you, we should take a leaf out of Iceland. You know what Iceland did with the bankers? They put them where they belong. Let's throw them into jail and throw the keys away. Let's have an economy that works for the people and not for our elites. And I tell you, I'm absolutely delighted, and I know he's coming later, that we now have a Labour Party and a leader of the Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn, who is going to confine austerity to the dustbin of history, and he's going to build an economy for the many. Let's hear it. For the many, for the many, for the many. And it's time we had economic justice in our country. And make no mistake, and I'm going to be finishing on this. You know, when Rees-Mogg, Fox and Gove, when they tell you they want Brexit to take back control, it's not control as you would want them or us to have it. This is about finishing the job that Thatcher did. This is about creating a labour market like the one in the United States, where our class is at the will of the bosses on a hire and fire culture. This is about striking free trade deals that open our NHS to privatisation. I tell you, not in my name, and I hope not in yours. So it's not too late to say exit to Brexit. You know, for the last four decades, we have been told that the invisible hand of the market is always right. Well, I tell you, let's send a message from Hyde Park that the invisible hand of the market will now be challenged to a duel to the death by the clean fist of worker solidarity. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Well, one of the strengths of the trade union movement is that we're not just rooted in workplaces, we're rooted in communities as well. And we work together with a huge range of community allies. That's why I'm absolutely delighted to introduce our next speaker, Marai Larasai, who works for IMCON, an organisation representing black and ethnic minority women fighting against marginalisation. Please give a huge welcome to Marai.
It is so good to be here with you today. I'm really sorry I couldn't march with you, but it's just fantastic. Thank you for having me. I want to start by acknowledging that economic justice is a core element of how we demand and create an equal society. So what we are paid and how we work is critical. However, for thousands of women, and there will be women here today, we know that this is not just about the money. For so many women across these nations, the workplace is a site of harassment, assault and victimization. And we don't talk about this enough. We don't talk about this enough in the trade union movement. The TUC's own work with everyday sexism showed that more than half of women had been subjected to sexual harassment at work. And when we're talking about 18 to 24-year-olds, this rose to almost 2/3. This is really bloody unacceptable. The EHRC's recent report highlighted that most of us would actually not report that in our workplace. So it's not just, and when you think about the fact that women are mostly being harassed by senior colleagues, it's not surprising. If you've got people controlling promotions, if you've got people controlling your money, how are you going to feel empowered to report? When we're talking about women that are subject to multiple intersecting oppressions on the basis of ethnicity, migration status, disability, being LGBT, the picture, the injustice is compounded. So what does a new deal look like for women like us? It looks like accountability. It looks